An invasive species is a species that did not evolve within the ecosystem, brought intentionally or accidentally. Plants and animals that have migrated to areas where they did not originate. They often displace native species by outcompeting them for resources. Globalization has caused the spread to increase exponentially.
Non-native species do not cause environmental nor economic harm. An important, not to be missed distinction between non-native species and invasive species is that non-native species do not disrupt the natural functions and processes of our native ecosystems.
A keystone species is a species on which other species in an ecosystem largely depend, such that if it were removed, the ecosystem would change drastically.
Our invasive species is the rock dove, or better known as the pigeon. There are over 350 different varieties of the pigeon. The most common is the feral pigeon, with 10 to 15 million in Europe alone. It originated in Europe, North Africa, and Asia. The wild pigeon is found in coastal areas, and the feral pigeon is found almost exclusively in areas of human habitation. The rock dove is described as being 32 to 37 centimeters long with a wingspan of 64 to 72 centimeters long. It has a dark bluish-gray head, neck and chest with glossy greenish and reddish-purple iridescence around the neck and wing feathers. The pigeon has an orange or red iris with pale inner rings for the adults or brown or grayish-brown for juveniles. It has a black bill with off-white sarin red feet and legs. It also has distinctive twin black wing bars and white lower back feathers.
Habitats include various open and semi-open environments. Cliffs and rock ledges are used for roosting and breeding in the wild. Pigeons have become established in cities around the world. A common sight in cities around the world, rock pigeons crowd streets and public squares, living off discarded food and offerings of birdseed. In addition to typical blue-gray bird with two dark wing bars, you'll often see flocks with plain spotted pale or rusty red birds in them. Introduced to North America from Europe in the early 1600s, city pigeons nest on buildings and window ledges. In the countryside, they also nest on barns and grain towers, under bridges, and on natural cliffs. Pigeons often gather in flocks, walking or running on the ground and pecking for food. When alarmed, the flock may suddenly fly into the air and circle several times before coming down back again.
Affectionately known by most people as rats with wings, sky rats, gutter birds, and flying ashtrays, pigeons must be one of the most unloved birds around. Extreme pigeon fearing is labeled as peristerophobia. In ancient times, they were revered as companions, and they were extensively studied by Charles Darwin for his theory of evolution. In both world wars, they were used to carry vital communications and have been credited with saving thousands of lives and honored by the military. But when it comes to hating pigeons, the focus of most people's dislike is the feral pigeon. It is a domesticated rock dove that has returned to the wild or semi-wild conditions. It is usually gray and can be seen in most villages, towns, and cities across the UK and Europe. Even some pigeon fanciers dislike them because they supposedly give their superior breeds a bad reputation. Many people firmly believe street pigeons spread disease, but this belief is attacked by pigeon lovers who say the threat has been exaggerated and there is no documented cases of disease being transmitted from a pigeon to a human. Additionally, they damage property and drive out other bird species.
Pigeons are common to New York City. They often make nests in buildings and rapidly reproduce. Breeding occurs throughout the year, usually taking place between March and July. During these months, the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene often receives questions about possible health risks associated with cleaning pigeon droppings. Contact with pigeon droppings may pose a small health risk. 3 human diseases are known to be associated with pigeon droppings: histoplasmosis, cryptococcus, and psittacosis.
Pigeons are very widespread in New York City, but the New York Police Department said removing them from city streets is illegal. There are people who believe that pigeons have a right to be living in New York City with all of us, and they even created an organization called New York City Pigeon Rescue. In New York City, you can make reports of unsanitary conditions caused by pigeons, including odor and excessive droppings on window ledges, sidewalks, and exteriors of commercial and residential properties. Pigeon droppings deface many roofs, monuments, and public spaces. The uric acid, white material, in their droppings is not just unsightly, it can damage the finish on buildings, automobiles, etc. Droppings also contain dangerous fungi and bacteria that are potentially harmful to humans. Some of the diseases they cause include histoplasmosis, cryptococcosis, cysticercosis, and St. Louis encephalitis. When birds occupy warehouses and defecate on stored goods, this creates an expensive problem for the warehouse management when their customers refuse to accept contaminated goods. Pigeons are not protected by federal law. However, you should check your state's guidelines concerning their protection status and with methods of bird control are allowed before taking action against them. You can use anti-roosting spike strips that you can attach to just about any place that a bird might perch. You can use string tied from one end to another end of a spot where the pigeons seem to like to roost, or even try spicing things up a little. On the whole, pigeons don't like spices. Sprinkle cayenne pepper, cinnamon, or regular pepper where they usually roost. Be generous with the spices and repeat after wet weather.